Hi, my name is Khoo Hoon Eng and I teach biochemistry in the university. I'm also an ally of the queer community and a co-founder of a family support group for the LGBTQ+ community in Singapore.
Hi, my name is Movin and I'm a member of the LGBT+ community. I've been involved in advocacy and activism for the community in Singapore for a number of years. Right now, I'm doing my PhD studying birds and conservation in Southeast Asia. Hoon Eng, what kind of insights are you hoping to get out of today's visit?
I am an ally of the queer community, but I don't necessarily bring the queer lens to the art that I'm looking at.
Even as a queer person, I don't necessarily look at things through a queer lens all the time because that's just not conducive for life, I guess. But I think looking at art through a queer lens today hopefully will give me more perspectives. And I'm also wondering how relatable it's going to be. Because I think a queer experience is always going to be a very specific thing, in Singapore especially. And I'm wondering how much the artwork that I see can relate to that.
Movin, what do you think?
Yeah, clearly this is struggle. Someone, being bound like this. His toes are curled and then his fists are clenched.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think there's an almost inherent sensuality to this piece as well. Just based on the way that this whole statue is posed and the way it's presented on a pedestal as well for everyone to see. And that it's obviously a very aesthetically pleasing, male body. It's like an idealized version of the male body.
You're right. When I think back, if this was presented to the public in 1960s Singapore, it would have caused, I think, a sensation. Yeah, this is something that we're not used to. Yeah. A completely naked body, and yet not ashamed and still defiant.
So how does this make you feel?
Well, I have different feelings. So my first feeling actually was of anger that somebody has been tied up like this and not allowed to be free. And then actually my second reaction is I actually want to go there and start untying the knots that around his legs and around his arms.
I mean, there's definitely that. I want to untie his bonds, but at the same time, there's also the sense of defiance. Like he is so tied and so bound, and yet there is a sense of I will overcome and I will fight no matter what. And I think that's very admirable. I think that's definitely something that, like a trait that I would want in my own life.
The other message that I'm getting, he's looking up and we're looking at it. It's like, I want to be free.
He's definitely looking at everyone who comes into this gallery, and it's almost like he's asking us, will we set him free or are we his captors, Are we the ones who bind him or let him loose?
That's why we come and look at art. The role of art is also to make us think about our role, about how we respond to other people, other groups, other communities.
This one.
Oh, I like that. That's very...
It's beautiful, right? It's just idyllic kampong sunset. I want to be there.
Yeah. The thing that caught my attention also, and there are obviously two male figures.
The pose looks super intimate with the hand of the taller man, over the younger man. They're wearing the same seashell motif necklace. The sarong is almost the same shade of blue. It looks like it could almost be a single sarong around two of them. So to me, it looks like they might be a queer couple, they might be dating or something. And like positioning them on the side, it's almost like as if they're on the outskirts of society.
Possibly, moving, but then, I think I have a slightly different impression as well, because, I grew up in the 60s in Malaysia, and I think there was a lot more of acceptance, perhaps, of male-to-male intimacy and less judgment. If you look at this picture, you notice the women are just sort of going about whatever they're doing, without actually paying attention to the two men. And they're not judging them, obviously, and they're like, this is part of life in this village or the scene.
Actually, this is a super interesting perspective because that is not something I would have considered, because I think for me, and especially for people around my age, right, we think that as you go further back into the past, things are just more restrictive, or like there's more, is or more conservative, but I guess that's not strictly true. Is that a disco ball?
Wow, yeah, looks like it. In a museum. Ooh, look at that. Moving? Go for it.
If you insist. See what? Okay. Oh, okay. I see it. It's a body wave.
Yes. So, Movin, why do you think the artist created this work? It's so unusual.
Yeah.
There's so many different components.
Yeah, I think it's kind of really interesting because there's this old vintage TV, there's the lighting, there's the pole, there's that disco ball
up there.
And I think they don't symbolize anything, but together it's kind of like very reminiscent of like these bars in Thailand where you have people going to
watch this, right?
So like to me it's really queer. It's very aggressively about this sense of like being watched. And you have all of these markers. You have that number tag. You have the clothes. You have to be skinny. You have to be brown. And then you have to be able to move your body in a way expressionless, no expression, but it's just your body speaking for itself. This gallery is super formal, and I'm just here like doing a body wave on a pole in the middle of the gallery. You wanna try? No one's here. No one's gonna see you.
Oh, okay, I will try. Now you're gonna have to show me what.
Okay, so there's that body wave thing. So you hold the pole, keep your body out, and you come in close.
Okay.
And then, how did you feel?
I would not be up there, but because you were here, I felt like I can participate too. And it's sort of like poking fun as well at this whole business of exoticizing.
It's calling to question all of these sort of like behaviors or these toxic practices, I think, that don't really hold up. I think they are very inherently problematic, right?
Yes.
It's racist, it's very colonial, it's not particularly nice, but when you shift it to a context where you get to choose to perform, I think it was quite empowering.
Whenever you're in a gallery or a museum, you're not supposed to touch anything.
Yeah, usually I come here to see art, but today we got to be art.
To be art, that's right. Yes, to be art. So now we can make a quick getaway.
Okay, no one's here, it's okay.
No one's here, so.
Why are we walking to a huge dog's face?
A dog's face? No, I see a woman's body.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you see. Right. Yes, the breasts are like fruits.
But then there's that.
But that looks like it could be a cesarean scar or something, and it's a mature body. So, Movin, what else I just noticed? The breasts are different sizes and different shapes. So it's not a perfect body, right? I think that's a cesarean scar. It shows this body has born life, has given birth, and yet, it's still very much a body that is loved.
And I think what you said about it being like a mature woman's body is important, right? Because it's very unapologetic. It's just there. It's very present. And like, this is not the kind of body that you see in popular culture or on television. This whole work is put together so lovingly because of the gold leaf and everything. And I think it's almost a radical act to love your body in spite of it not being perfect, right? Because we're always chasing perfection, whether aesthetic or in other cases. And like, we need to be perfect to be worthy of love, but you don't.
And then the other thing that also just occurred to me is, the use of gold leaf in many Asian religions is a form of worship as well. So this is worshipping a beautiful, mature woman's body.
We talk about the body positivity movement and all of that now. This is, I think, the most self-assured, sort of confident, like owning my body, loving my body, and accepting my body. The whole thing comes together because of the gold leaf, right? Because you have to do that so lovingly, and so patiently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this piece is just all about love.
Has our visit today sort of given you any sort of further insights into the role of art?
The major thing today is that I did not expect to relate so deeply and so personally, and I can relate to them on a deep level as a queer person in Singapore about how, I want to be seen, I want to be free, and even works about being seen in a way that I don't want to be seen. There's just a lot to be said about how we relate to art and in society, because we think of art as something that needs to be seen in galleries or museums. And it seems almost displaced or distant from real life. But actually what I've seen is that my experience as a queer person in Singapore, I found a lot that I could relate to in a very personal, very specific way that I didn't think I would be able to find before coming here today. How about yourself?
And what spoke to me, I think as being a child of the 60s, growing up then, the struggle, the civil rights struggle in the US, of course, and also our own struggles in this part of the world for national independence. But then, 50 years later, I realized that just national freedom from your colonizers is not enough. There's always a constant struggle against all kinds of other oppressions. Oppression of people just because we perceive of them as different. They have every right to have their own freedom to be themselves.